Hello, my little weirdos. Listen, I've been mostly quiet except for some shorts and the birds and the cats and such. Um, I've got a few moments, and I may have been making notes the last couple days of things that I want to talk about. What's coming up and how that intersects with his promises. Um, so bear with me because I will need to be reading some of my notes. Okay. First off, I want to talk about um, the tariffs. Um, did you guys that like to wear all this uh, Republican 45 merch, y'all realize you do know that most of that stuff comes from China. To get it, those that printing and such done in America, it's cheaper if you just buy it made like that instead of here, because you do it in bulk from China. So the price of merchandise that you guys love to just drape yourself in from head to toe, and it's not American. I'm not talking American made. I'm talking about American uh, pride. Um, just patriotism, not being a patriot type of like MAGA uses it. It's stuff that has a particular person's name on it, and I'm not using his name anymore. I'll say 45 or I'll say Republicans, but I'm really trying not to use his name anymore because he does not get that attention he wants. He likes to hear his name, him specifically, and I'm not giving that to him. I need to talk about him now, but I don't have to say his name. He who will not be named. Um, but even if the the tariffs on things coming into from China, you think, oh well, then the American-made ones will be cheaper than that ones. You think your fellow citizens, because no no Democrat, no progressive would be selling that stuff. So it's obviously just Republican voters and MAGA. Do you think those people are going to give you cheaper when they know that everybody wants it in your group and they can't get it for less than a certain amount from China? They're going to charge you the same amount or just under it. So don't think because they're your MAGA buddies, they're not going to be greedy, because you all are. Okay? I'm sorry. And speaking of tariffs, he said at 10%, right? In China. Then why did he just announce that, I think it was yesterday, the day before, that there'll be a 25% tariff on Mexican and Canadian things? They're on our landmass. They're not American, but they're North American continent. And he's starting a trade war, not just overseas, because things come from China, but also Taiwan and other places. Um, this is Mexico and China and Canada. We rely for car part on Mexico and on Canada. God, I'm all frazzled about this. Um, So he's putting a more than double that tariff on the two that are on our continent. And you don't think that's going to cause issues and a war? A trade war still can escalate. So he promised no more wars, and he's the one starting wars with 3 different countries. One of them is our freaking Five Eyes ally. So he lied to you guys on the no more wars. Number 1. Number 2, he lied about prices going down because he knew you didn't know what tariffs were by the way you cheered. It's the first time or two he mentioned it. Everybody there cheered. So he knew. He didn't even know what tariffs were. He just knew somebody pays. And if I put a tariff on them, they must. And that's what either he really thinks that, or he thought that, and then he was told they were, and he knew the rest of people that supported him probably didn't know what they really were either. And apparently you didn't. So, we'll just go along with that. You say you want to go back to when things were great. So, what exactly were things great? Was it when women couldn't have their own bank account without a male signature? Was that when it was great? Because that was what, like 80s? Late 80s, 90s, something like that. Like I think it was 84, 94. I don't, somewhere. That's when, up until then, women had to. If you were a single woman, you had to have like your daddy or your brother-in-law sign for you. Was that when it was great? Maybe for white straight males, or maybe when it was great again, even further back, when not only women couldn't do anything without men's consent, but we had segregated water fountains. And if you don't know what segregated means keeping one color person separate from another. So basically keeping all those evil, horrible black people over there, and they can't touch it because you'll get black cooties if you drink from the same fountain, kind of crap. Okay, so was it back to those times when it was great? Because, oh, look at that, it was great for white straight males then too, wasn't it? Not so much for the women, not so much for the people of color, but it was great for white straight males, wasn't it? Do you see anything in seems very similar, things that kind of, oh wow, look at that. Yeah. That's what they want. That is what their slogan, that actually they didn't even make up that slogan. Wasn't it Reagan used it or something? But is that, because when he made that slogan, you know what age that was. And he said it then. So just keep that in mind. Reagan used Make America Great Again. So what era was he talking about? Because women, like, we just were getting our emancipation and getting our due recognition as a whole freaking human being. I know. The bird said it too. Must have been a female. I hear you, girlfriend. So just think about that when you sit there and scream, Make America Great Again. Especially you people that support the Republican Party that are of color or female. Because they don't want you to have your voice or your light. They want to take that from you and then claim that, see, we have this much power and voice and light and you don't, so you're probably not as good as us. when the fact is there is so much because they stole it from you and them and them and you too. Wake up, guys. They talk about draining the swamp. They are the swamp. Oh my God, talk about the swamp. Okay, wait. Let's talk about that. He appoints a rapist from a right-wing Fox entertainment weekend show in his cabinet. JFK. This dude had a brain worm that ate part of his brain before doctors told him about it, and the brain worm died, but ate part of his brain. So, what exactly part was that? Yeah? Okay, he probably got that. First of all, he has mercury poisoning from eating so much fish. Okay? That F's with your brain. He's eaten roadkill. He ate a roadkill dog. That's probably where he got his brain worms. He took a supposed roadkill bear, and that was the bear in Central Park that you heard about, as a prank. This guy, that's a sick prank. Taking a dead freaking bear, transporting it in your vehicle to Central Park and setting it up like in a bench or something. That's not a prank. That's not funny. That's a little sick. Okay? One time there was a whale, I guess, and that washed up, and he cut the whale's head off and I don't know what the hell, he was taking it somewhere. And he had it on the roof of his car, and like his kids were in the car getting dripped on by whale juice because the windows, were open because they had time. This is in his cabinet. The chick, the governor who shot her dog Cricket because she couldn't be bothered to train it, she's in the cabinet. Tulsi, who's basically a Russian agent speaking point. When Russian news has an American politician speaking against America, and Russian TV puts it on their TV to say, see, even their own citizens hate their country, she's going to be in the cabinet. Oh, yes. The hack doctor. There's several rapists in there that he tried to get Matt Gates in there. The fake doctor. Dr. Oz. Okay? Dr. Oz basically lost his doctor license because when Oprah found him and Dr. Phil, who hasn't had a license in California for like decades, and brought them on there, they started hawking fake cures for like serious ailments. All three of them did, hawking that shit. I mean, and at one point, Dr. Phil was like a psychologist or psychiatrist or something like that, in, I think it was California, but he hasn't had a license. His license hasn't been renewed for like decades. Oz actually was a celebrated heart surgeon, cardiac, surgeon, but he let himself be by greed and fame, and started also, like I said, with Phil, doing the hawking shit. He lost his license because a doctor is supposed to do no frickin' harm. So Dr. Oz couldn't make it during the midterms. So he is now in the cabinet. Unbelievable. Talking about the deportation. Not only all those Springfield Haitian immigrants that were asked to come to Springfield some time ago and were given that program to be legally there, they saved Springfield. Springfield had lost all us Americans we lost, they didn't want to do some of that hard work that, COVID impacted and stuff, and the town was dying. And word was put out that on the net, on the different networking things, that they need people to come there. And immigrant Haitians said, we'll come, and we will make a community help. We will help. If we can get to this, we're not going to spend all our years building it and not. And they're like, no, that's fair enough. You help save us, save the town, and you will, you'll be a citizen. And that's who J.D. Couch, Vance, and the tyrannical tyrant, tangerine tyrant, that's who they were attacking. Well, they've left, because now that they found, now with the election results, they were like, they had to get the fuck out of Dodge. So Springfield's gonna start dying again. All those businesses closed, nobody to work in the meat packing things, and different things like that. You forget, it's not a lot of immigrants, people trying to get citizenship or on programs that they are while they're there and stuff. They're gonna get the hell out. Okay, they've already started ditching. So it's not just the crops of the fields. Are you gonna see all them little MAGA hats bobbing away in the fields and the orchards and the meat packing and the meat killing plants and the butchering slaughterhouses? You're going to see all you guys working at? Because that's why these people have these jobs to begin with, okay? They're not black jobs. They're not colored jobs. They're not women jobs. They're jobs. They're jobs that you American men don't want to do. But us women and the people of color are willing to do. So, just think about that, okay? Think about who do you think is going to fill those places now, okay? And nobody else is going to want to come in and do it because of the laws that he's going to put in. So, not only that, but those immigrants that are here under programs for citizenship and undocumented immigrants, do you know how much they paid in federal, state, and local taxes just in 22? $96 billion. Now, a lot of these people that are not legal citizens yet, they pay the taxes and they don't get benefit of the programs unless they qualify in specific ways. It's not just all of them. They have to specifically qualify for certain things, and they have to wait for years for this a lot of times to come about. In the meantime, they're still paying those taxes. That's $96 billion in taxes that we're not going to be getting from those people. You sit there and the ones that do get onto the programs and they're not yet the citizens, it's because they're on a program like those Haitians I was talking about. They're willing to do more to help this country than white males that are born in this country. Oh, it's a war against white males. Well, look who's dominantly there. Look who the tyrannical tangerine toddler. What, 2 females, both white, in low positions. Start looking at. I had somebody give me on one of the shorts before the election, you better check yourself before you wreck yourself. Some white guy or something. And I'm like, excuse me. I believe it's MAGA who should be and should have been checking yourselves, because now you're wrecking yourselves and you're wrecking everyone else with you. So I want to mention that immigrants were paying taxes. If they have a job, they pay taxes. Okay? Unless it's somebody being paid under the table, and then that's the employer's fault. They're the ones doing it illegally. So anybody who's here, they're not a citizen yet, but they're here, like, we know they're here and are working, they're paying taxes. So, your merchandise, you MAGA folk, your prices are going to soar one way or another. Your precious little MAGA stuff, because it's cheaply made, it's going to tear or break or stuff, you're going to have to replace it. It's going to be a whole lot more expensive. And even more so because you're kicking all the people that do all the work that make, from the bottom, that make the top work. Because if you don't have the bottom working, it ain't building the top. And the top will fall. So, but again, because you didn't pay attention in school, or school didn't adequately teach you, the last decade, education has devolved. Gee, who came onto the scene almost a decade ago? Yes. It only takes a decade. It only takes 8. That's growing up. That's an elementary, and that's an entire elementary school learning. So, anybody who started like elementary school in around 2015 or something like that, all that time they've been making that education worse. You know, they're 15, 16, they're going to be voting soon. And that's the education or non-education they're voting with. They're not taught to think differently. They're just taught to recite. Remember and recite. That's what the core stuff was about. That's what was getting away from having them not just memorize and repeat. That's called indoctrination, without asking for thoughts. For what do you think should have been done or could have been done? Or they don't want you to learn that. Because then you start critically thinking, and then you start questioning. Neither do religions, specifically Christianity. And I specifically know because I was in it. And that's really all that's what the Bible says. Just read it and remember that. But what does that mean? Just do it. That's what you're told. That's what I was told. There was several things that yes. Jack Smith has dismissed that airtight case against Trump. Hate to say his name, but I need to be clear. But it was dismissed. There's with prejudice and without prejudice. I think it's without prejudice. That means, you can't, we're not going to, anything. We're going to keep the information, but, and file it. But, there's no double jeopardy, in other words. Because if you say, well, you tried a case, but, well, they didn't give the sentence yet. So, he was tried, but it was stopped right before the sentence. So there was no sentence given. So you can't just dismiss it per se. In other words, we can address this years down the line and pick it up again. So you want to say, oh, well, when he gets in office, he's immune. You have to dismiss it. Oh, you can't go forward with it when he's president. Okay, well, this is stuff that happened before, while he wasn't president the last time. And if we just wait 4 years till he's not president again, because legally, according to the Constitution, he cannot remain in office because he's already won the presidency once. So if he spends 1 day in office, that's considered his term. He can't run again. So once he's out of office, Jack Smith just picks the case right back up. He was already convicted, Now he'll just get his sentence. As soon as he walks out of the White House, he can walk into a courthouse and then he can walk into prison. And you can't do anything about it because he's never going to campaign again for president. So, all hope is not lost. If he had done it with prejudice, that means he can't address these issues in this case again. Merrick Garland let us down. He dicked around and I understand a year or two to make sure you've got shit. And yes, recently, in the last year or something, more things have been discovered, but he could have nailed him for a lot of this stuff. So Merrick Garland, yeah, he's not a progressive friend. He really isn't. With that, peace out.